How much is your happiness worth? Yes, you heard that right. How much money do you need to feel happy, free, successful, to wake up without anxiety, to stop counting every purchase, and to know that you're going to be okay? Name that number. Right now. Write it in the comments. Subscribe, hit the like button, and get comfortable. Because if you watch this video until the end, we'll find the path to your personal happiness. When I was a child, I often heard the phrase, "Happiness isn't about money." And maybe you heard it too, from parents, from teachers, from society. It was presented as an unquestionable truth, but as I grew older, a quiet realization began to form inside me. In our social world, without money, happiness often feels impossible, because it is money, or the lack of it, that keeps us in constant tension. We worry, we calculate, we postpone life. We can repeat the phrase, "Happiness isn't about money," as much as we want, but when money is missing, the body lives in stress. Stress about bills, stress about the future, stress about not being able to rest, to heal, to feel safe. And in that moment, happiness stops being a philosophy. It becomes biology. Because when you are constantly surviving, true happiness is out of reach. And this is where the deepest inner trap begins. We live in a constant race for money, working harder, trying more, proving ourselves, comparing ourselves to others. And yet, we are often afraid to even name the exact amount of money that would make us feel calm and free. Why? Because fear lives inside us. The fear of seeming materialistic, the fear of seeming greedy, the fear of being judged. As if wanting money is something shameful, as if wanting more is wrong, as if naming a number would make someone say, "Who do you think you are to want that?" So many people live in a strange split. On the outside, they say, "I don't need much. I'm not about money. What matters to me is my soul." But on the inside, there is tension, exhaustion, envy, and the feeling that life is passing by. Because the truth is this: money itself does not create happiness, but the lack of money can destroy it very quickly. And this is not about greed. It's about safety. It's about choice. It's about freedom. When you have money, you can choose where to live, how to work, who to be with, and how much of your time belongs to you. But when money is missing, life becomes a constant "I have to." You have to endure. You have to agree. You have to stay silent. You have to work where it hurts. And this brings us to the most important point. The phrase "happiness isn't about money" is very often used to invalidate desire, to stop people from wanting more, to stop them from asking questions, to teach them to settle for less. But the deeper truth sounds different. Happiness is a state, and money is the environment, in which that state is either supported or constantly threatened. And until we allow ourselves to look at this honestly, we will keep running, feeling ashamed of our desires, and living with the sense that something is wrong with us. Nothing is wrong with us. We were simply taught not to want. You know, I've noticed one thing. It always works. It always supports. It always helps. And every time, it takes you to a new level of understanding money and life as a whole. Subscribe and like this video. If you watch it till the end, you'll understand what needs to change. Once, I was pregnant with my third child. We were living in a rented house in another country because we had lost our own home when the war started in my country, and we were forced to leave. Now imagine this moment, a foreign country, a rented house, and our money was completely gone. The next day, we had to move out because we couldn't pay the rent anymore. And you know, that's one thing when you're alone. It's something completely different. When you're 8 months pregnant, your due date is in a month. You have 2 small children, a dog and a cat, a very fun move into the unknown. And on that same day, I found out that my medical insurance was canceled and my right to stay in that country was revoked. The most absurd part, it applied only to me, not to my husband, not to the children, to me, a pregnant woman. When I look back on that story now, I don't remember the events as much. I remember the feeling inside. It was as if the external problems didn't control me. Not because I was ignoring reality, but because inside there was a clear knowing the world was supporting us, not belief, not hope, but a calm, deep knowing that the universe sees us and already knows the best possible outcome. And what's interesting is that there have been many moments like this in my life. I'm sure you've had moments like this too. Share in the comments your most difficult story, what saved you in that moment, or maybe you're in a situation right now where you don't see a way out. And here's what I'm really pointing to. It's not about the events themselves, not about money, not even about the lack of it. It's about how we relate to what happens in our lives. How do we perceive lack? How do we experience need? What inner position do we choose? Because there is always a choice. Even now, right in this moment, there is an invisible choice to choose yourself, to choose inner calm, not blind faith, but a deep inner knowing that everything happening in your life is working for your growth and prosperity. This is not punishment. This is not a mistake. This is priceless experience that leads you to success. My story changed then, in a truly miraculous way, like a fairy tale. And not because I was hoping, not because I was praying for a miracle, but because I knew miracles exist, calmly, relaxed, without struggle. And that was the moment. Everything began to fall into place. We left that country soon after, and at that exact moment, money came to us from a place we never expected. And we kept traveling, now already with 3 children, though sadly without our cat. And now I want to say something very deep, something you really need to understand, to feel, and to let sink in. In your life, you create the entire script, all the events, all the challenges, all the problems. It's hard to believe this, but this is how it truly works. There is a higher intelligence that guides you through life in order for you to gain experience. So ask yourself this question. What kind of experience do you want to live? Think about it. Imagine it. And here's the most interesting part. All life experience is created through our inner states. If you are afraid, you create experience from fear. If you are anxious, you create experience from anxiety. If you are stressed, you resonate with stress. But if you trust, if you accept, if you feel inspired, you are already vibrating on a completely different frequency. And on that frequency, you resonate with a completely different version of the world. What you really need to learn is how to manage your attention and your state. Because then, the experience that shows up in your life will match what you feel inside. Do you remember how at the beginning of this video, I asked you to write in the comments the amount of money that would make you feel happy? Write it now. I didn't ask that by accident. I asked because we are about to do a specific practice together. This is a practice I personally use in moments when I feel my state starting to drop, when I lose my inner support, or when trust in the world begins to fade. Our task right now is not to visualize and not to dream. This is very important. Our task is to remember. Yes, to remember yourself. Already having that amount of money, that house, that car, those relationships. Anything you choose. Not to imagine, not to fantasize, but to remember. When you remember something that happened yesterday, or 6 months ago, you do it from a place of deep knowing. You know it happened, you know it is a fact, You know that this experience has already taken place in your life, and now, listen very carefully. We are going to do a practice called Future in the Past. You need to mentally move into that moment in the future where you already have what you desire, the amount of money in your bank account, your own apartment or house, the long-awaited relationship, any reality you choose. Move there not through images, but through sensations, through the feeling. This is already mine. And now comes the next step, the most important one. Begin to remember how you received it, how you earned that money, how you bought the apartment, how you entered those relationships. Tell this story to yourself as a memory from the past, as something already completed, as a fact that carries no doubt. The key here is this: not to believe, not to hope, but to know. When we remember a past event, a feeling of knowing is born within us, because it is true, because we lived it, through our own experience. And this is exactly the state we need to catch and hold until your desire manifests in reality. And here is a very important moment. This can happen very quickly, because for the higher intelligence, time does not exist. There is only one single moment, now. And if you experience an event as a memory from the past, the universe needs to compensate for it immediately. For example, if you desire $1 million, you enter the state where you already have it. How do you feel? How do you act? How does your day begin? You feel it. And now, the most important part. You imagine yourself telling someone how you got this money from memory, from the past, how you paid off your loans, how you closed your debts, how you bought a house, how you helped other people. You remember it as if it has already happened, calmly, confidently, without tension. And it is in this state that real changes begin to occur. It's very important to fully feel the state that you've already done it, that you've already received it or bought it, and that some time has already passed, maybe 2 or 3 months. And now you're talking about it. From memory, you can do this practice in the morning and in the evening. You can return to it throughout the day while you're working, or you can do it once and let it go. What truly matters is catching the feeling that it has already happened, that it already belongs to the past. Take this knowing and place it inside yourself, that this outcome is inevitable, because it already exists. One of my acquaintances used this technique for a little less than a year, and while she was remembering her past, replaying it again and again in different ways, a brilliant idea suddenly came to her. She became so inspired by this new idea that she completely forgot about the original desire she had spent so much time on. I can't even imagine how many different versions of memories she went through, how many ways her desire could have manifested, and then she left it alone, in peace. And one day, it came true. And it came true. In a way she could never have imagined. The most important thing in this practice is not how your desire will manifest. What matters most is how you feel after it has already manifested. How calm you are, how happy you feel, how satisfied, how relaxed. When we live in this state, we look different. We react differently to events, and the level of our inner confidence rises. So remember your future as the past. Remember your freedom, your inspiration, and your deep trust in life. Live with this inner knowing, trusting everything that is happening, like a seed breaking through the soil toward the light, not resisting, but trusting its own growth. Write in the comments the amount that represents freedom and happiness for you. Like this video, subscribe, and remember, you're not moving toward your life, you are remembering it.